Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at...
Pardon the interruption for a very important news update.
This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther, farther, farther. Theme hits loud, then the grips come off. Call out the card, call every payoff. Botches, legends, titles, and heat. Pay-per-view nights, run it back, repeat. They slam, we analyze. Move for move, every feud, every bruise, every pivot move. This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. No script, just true. Every jab breaks through. From the bell to the brawl. Name the show. We want it all. 1, 2, 3. This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther.
Oh yeah, brother! Welcome to WrestleMania Rewind. Oh wait, excuse me. So sorry. Oh man, couldn't get the Macho Man. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast here on FTSN and the No Holds Barred Wrestling channel. Usually we're Saturdays at 5 p.m., but now we're this morning here at noon. I'm Bobby Melendez, joined always by my tag team partner, Josh Kimmel, the Kimmelnator, brother. You know, I know I would say how, you don't even have to ask me how I'm doing. I just got off a show. I said all that already. So I want to ask about you, Josh. Josh, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I had a rewind to 1998, late March. I was a kid, Bobby, when this show went down, and I was watching wrestling at this time. And this whole weekend, because I watched this matches on Friday and through Saturday morning. So I had a double day dose of WrestleMania 14, and it literally is my childhood. Even though I didn't watch WWF, World Wrestling Federation, at this time, I think my match rating, WrestleMania 14 rating, is a little bit biased, and we might get more biased as the years go on.
Yeah.
But Bobby, I had a fun time watching the show. I didn't want to stop it Friday night. I wanted to keep going and finish it. Just my son had other plans. This was a fun show, Bobby.
You know what? I'm with you. This was not a WrestleMania that I watched because I was watching WCW. So this was my first time watching this, and I'm with you. I did not want to stop when I had to pause it to go do something because it was a lot of fun, and just to see the characters growing and kind of if you go back and you think about it, the storytelling. There's so many stories in this show, and the action in the ring told those stories really well. The facial expressions, the whatever, that's kind of what WCW lacked. And this whole card, minus probably one match, really. If minus one match, there was not a lot of stories. There's one match I think you could have left off the card probably. The other ones though were all entertaining. I know, but this other one, the one I'm talking about, I don't want to say it wasn't entertaining. It was entertaining. All these matches were entertaining. But like somebody who religiously watched the WCW and could talk to you about WCW and certain pay-per-views and nitros, and seeing this WrestleMania 14, I understood why the tides turned. I understood it watching it. And I'm like, every freaking match had my attention, the story and everything else. And we're going to get into it. Again, maybe you could have left the first 2 matches off the card, but it is. But I'll tell you what, the first one though, this tag team battle royal that was to determine the number 1 contenders for the WWF tag championships, which would be defended later in the night. The rule was, if I remember correctly, is if you're, Josh, if you and I are in there, if I got eliminated, you need to get out. You can't stay. Mark Henry didn't get that notice in that match for a while. I was like, what is he still here for? But either way, commentary, good old Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler. We get that. So that's pretty cool. We're in this era now that we get to truly judge that commentary team for at least for the WrestleManias. Because I keep seeing, I saw somebody I saw somebody the other day arguing about who, better commentator, Jim Ross or Michael Cole. And I'm sorry, that's just a new generation argument. Like, look, I'm not saying anything against Michael Cole. I like Michael Cole. He puts in the work. He's good. He is not the greatest commentator of all time. Hard stop. If you tell me he's the greatest commentator of all time, that tells me you've only been watching wrestling for 20 years, maybe 10 years, whatever. You don't know the other guys. You can't tell me I'm sorry. Because if you watch the whole thing, Michael Cole, respectfully, great, but not the greatest. I don't even know why people have these arguments. This IWC, bunch of freaking whitey-tighty wearing mama's boys in their grandma's basements eating freaking Chips Ahoy, having an argument online about greatest commentator done. It's Michael Cole. No, it's not Michael Cole. But anyway, I digress. So we get Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. McMahon, not a part of the commentary team.
Thank goodness.
But we start off with this tag team battle royal. And, you have a lot of, decent players in this. But the hot team, the team that blew the roof off, Legion of Doom, LOD, Hawk and Animal with Sonny. Talk to me, brother, about this match. What did you think of it? Were you entertained at all? And how hot the LOD was back then? Yeah,
so LOD 2000 with Sonny. I think they were hot because Sonny was wearing basically nothing. This is the first WrestleMania where we finally get the Attitude Era of the sex appeal. We had it last WrestleMania a little bit, but this one over the top. You also had the New Midnight Express, Nation of Domination, 2 teams of them. The Headbangers, the Quebecers, DOA, Los Borracos, the Godwins, Rock and Roll Express, Too Much, Truth Commission, Bradshaw and Chains, Flash Funk and Steve Blackman. Sure, listen, it's a tag team battle royal. These things are always clunky. They're trying to do something new. And we're going to talk about they're trying to do something new in almost every single match. They tried something new almost in every single match. So they're trying to compete with the WCW at this point. Yes. WCW had things going hot for them. They had the NWO already. They had
Goldberg. Goldberg was hot.
So
yeah.
They're just trying to counter book the WCW and try to get eyes over there. And what was hot in 1998, grunge. We're going to see a dumpster match later. So this was, to me, this was it. A big cluster F, new thing that kind of worked, kind of didn't work. You kind of knew LOD was going to win. Kind of knew that going into it. But it was just like, okay, let's get everybody on the card. That's the kind of WrestleManias we're going to start getting into, Bobby. Because I started looking at the time limits of all the pay-per-views, all the WrestleManias coming up. We're about to get into the 4-hour pay-per-views.
Yeah, we are.
4.5 hours where everybody has to be on the card. That's what this seemed like to me. But
what was the official time of this card?
It was around 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I want to say something, people. Perfect. The pay-per-views now in AEW way too long. The pay-per-views now in WWE way too short. This is perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
This was a perfect pay-per-view time length. I'll just say that out loud. But can I say something before we move on to all the matches?
Yeah.
They were so defensive in this pay-per-view. How many segments or vignettes did we get you know, you think this isn't real? I'm a 2-time Gold Glove boxer. You think this isn't real? I
The
could break my
segment, yeah.
freaking neck. Like they did it. They played 3 of those. Jim Ross on commentary during the dumpster match. You don't think this hurts? You don't think this hurts? They just know how to fall. Very defensive in 1998 of people calling the sport fake or staged.
It's funny because when I first started seeing that play out, I thought it was and it is, but I'll tell you what, great segments though with Freddie Blassie and Gorilla Monsoon and everything. But I thought it was I broke this, I done this is real. I thought it was like, don't try this at home.
Yes.
I thought that's what it was going to be.
Yeah,
I was like,
too.
don't try this at home. It's just like WWF had it. And biggest shocker, that's the biggest shock of this. They were showing the WWF logo. The legit logo was on this show the whole time. Yep. It wasn't blurred out, which I love. Like, come on, like, what are we doing? Like, this is awesome. I hope it stays that way. But yeah, I'm with you. And the other shout out to which we hear Shawn Michaels bring up later on, but one thing Jim Ross had brought up was Earl Hebner was not on this card. He was supposed to be on this card. He was supposed to main event, the referee, the main event, but actually had a severe brain aneurysm the night before. And so that's why, he talked, oh, we wish you're doing, we know you're watching from your hospital room. We love you, blah, blah. I'm kind of like, okay. And then I hear Shawn Michaels say it like, oh, the first one without my lucky charm. This is for you, and I'm like, this is for you, Earl. My first one without him, and so it's like, I was like, I had to go back and look exactly what was going on with Earl Hebner, and that was the situation. But either way, the opening contest, the battle royal, entertaining, funny how like one guy would get eliminated and the other guy to get out. There was this big giant dude who got so pissed. He's, and you see Sonny, and my goodness, I think Maria put in there Sonny before she went to be a terrible human being. We know where her story ends up, but again, you could see why she was so beloved, and obviously easy to look at, no lie, she's beautiful and does her job well. And Jim Cornette was awesome. I such a great heel manager. But LOD wins. And again, just judging by the crowd, right decision was made. Major pop. They're red hot, and they get the number 1 contendership to face the WWF Tag Team Champions. That match goes for about 8 minutes, 20 seconds, 8 minutes, 19 seconds. Next one is Taka Michinoku, who takes on Aguila.
It's Michinoku. It's Michinoku, brother.
I should have just stopped with Taka. Taka Michinoku. No,
it's Michinoku driver, bro. That's his special move. That's his finisher, the Michinoku driver.
There you go. Well, I'll let you go with this one here.
He invented the move. That's his finisher. So every time you see it on SmackDown or Raw and they call it the Michinoku, I mean, it's hard for me to say, but the Michinoku driver.
Me too, Maria. That was how I felt about this match. I was like, okay.
Hold on.
When I saw, I know. Hold on. I'm going to give it its respect because
okay.
I was like, I'm going to step away for a bit because I remember Taka. I never was very interested with him, but I saw the two guys and I said, okay, but I want to see. I just want to take a look. It's for the light heavyweight championship. They come out, they go, and for 5 minutes, when I did come back, they were putting up some spots. They were like, hey, to me, it was like WWF trying to counter WCW's programming of the cruiserweight division. And it's like, yeah, but they have Rey Mysterio and Eddie. They have Psychosis. They got Juventud. You got Taka McDonald Nuggets. I don't know how to Michinoku's, and you got Aguila.
You will see the Michinoku driver used on every single wrestling show from now until the end of time. But this man gets no respect, and he's the one who invented it. I got to see the great.
Did I say right? Michinoku.
I got to see the great Taka Michinoku perform at WrestleMania 14, and none of you are giving him respect. The AEW sycophants in our chat are going, I made a sandwich during this match, when this is Speedball versus Jack Perry, modern day.
Oh my gosh.
Give respect to my man, Taka Michinoku, who invented the driver.
You have to slow down.
Because and this move has gotten the most 2 counts in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, WCW, all professional wrestling combined. When someone hits the Michinoku driver, They say it like, oh, it's a Michinoku driver. 1, 2. It's always a false finish. Give respect to my man, Taka, the greatest WWF light heavyweight champion of all time.
And that's the attention we'll give that match. We'll move on. We'll go on now to Triple H, the WWF European champion, taking on Owen Hart. You have China involved. China, of course, with Triple H. I mean, the ninth wonder of the world, the glam, whatever you call it. I think, no, right? Not Glamazon, but the ninth wonder world. And Sergeant Slaughter is the commissioner, and he has to handcuff himself to China so she cannot interfere in this match. And Owen Hart, you know, obviously the last Hart to be in the WWF. Bret Hart is gone. He's in the WCW. I think British World Neidhart followed him over there. So Owen's by himself here in the WWF without family, and he's in a program with Triple H. And so I was very interested to see this match, you know, again, because Owen on his own, but Owen Hart, just to see what the ideas were for him, and also to get to see Triple H, now known as Triple H. It's still, you know, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but they call him Triple H. They got the 3 H's. They're kind of moving him up, but actually this is the night before he takes over DX and brings in back Sean Waltman from the WCW, brings in Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. So we're getting to see Triple H in this era, and him and China. I mean, I'll tell you what though, like Triple H always had that. Obviously had it with Stephanie, but they got aura. Like China is legit, man. She is another one where it's like you understand the assignment when you're looking at her. Like you get what they were trying to sell, and she did a great job. She doesn't get enough respect. She does get respect, but she doesn't get enough respect for what she is and what in this wrestling business and what she's done. And that sucks. But Owen Hart, awesome to see him and Triple H. Decent. Good match. It was okay. I don't think it was great. I think it was okay. You know, Owen Hart's not Bret, and you know, but Triple H is not as bad as Bret Hart will make you out to be, and I think he had a decent match with Owen Hart. I liked it. I don't know how it wasn't a disqualification after China threw 20 pounds of powder into Sergeant Slaughter's face to win the match. I mean, she's supposed to not interfere, and you know that's major interference, but. And she low blows Owen, and Triple H gets the pedigree 1, 2, 3, and he retains. Decent match. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Question, but it's what it is.
How do you get disqualified for throwing powder in someone's face that's not involved in the match?
Well, he's involved. He's involved to make sure you don't interfere.
He's always
You're
involved.
Not supposed to interfere.
And he's always involved. He's the commissioner, so he's involved in every match in hopes that no one interferes. So if you throw powder in the face of Michael Cole, you're not disqualified. He's not part of the match. He's calling the match. Bobby.
That's different. That's different. You throw powder into Michael Cole's face, he's just the commentator. Sergeant Slaughter isn't indirectly involved in this match. He's supposed to make sure that you don't not get in that ring. You cannot touch Owen Hart.
If
she
hypothetically
touched Owen Hart, it's like, come on.
Hypothetically, Roger Goodell's on the sideline. A player runs runs into Roger Goodell and elbows him in the head on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You going to disqualify him from the game, or are you going to suspend him from the league for that action? You can't suspend him from the game because it wasn't against another player or official on the field. It was against a person on the field. You see what I'm saying? He's just the commissioner. He's not impacted in that game whatsoever. So Sergeant Slaughter, he's just the commissioner. He's just trying to do his job, and he's incapable of doing his job. You know what? And I will say this about you just criticized the WWF about not disqualifying. I am going to go ahead and commend them, Bobby. I'm in such a spicy mood today. Because I'm in attitude, brother. I'm an attitude era guy right now. And I will say this. If this was 2026 and you had Jordan Grace or you had Jade Cargill handcuffed to Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce, they cannot interfere. The 2026 mindset would be they need to break the chain. Because they're so strong, women, and we need to empower women, and we need to make them strong and blah, and they're going to overpower Nick Aldis and then interfere. No, they did it the right way. China knew she couldn't break a chain because she's a freaking woman. No, I couldn't even break it. You know what I mean? Only the Brock Lesnar's, the Big Show should be breaking chains. But in 2026, they would have broken the chain, right, Bobby? Like they would have.
Yeah.
Right. Clever way of getting the heat, the powder.
But I'll say too. We wouldn't be able to break the damn.
No,
chain.
that's what I said. I said only
yeah.
like Big Show, Brock Lesnar, like Obafemi.
Yeah, the monsters.
They should be able to break
but China could break
so
it. China.
She couldn't break a chain. So
China's
clever way
a
of getting
beast,
clever way of getting the powder. But where did the powder come from?
I
Where
think
was
the
it the whole
better
time?
scenario. I think the better call would have been breaking the chain, because then now you can't control, because supposedly he's like, nope, you can't do it. You can't do it. If the chain breaks, he's gonna be like, oh wait, no, oh she's interfering.
You can't break that chain, brother. Look, I can't break a chain. We're not breaking chains. Maybe like little chains from Walmart, the ones you put on you give your 12-year-old daughter. No, but I really like. There's
Eighth
more.
wonder of the world there.
We'll get more into the realistic side of wrestling in the Rock match, but I like how one pedigree. Pedigree, 1, 2, 3. No kick outs, no false finishes. Not every match had false finishes. Like I think that's why I enjoyed this WrestleMania so much. Once I saw the finisher, like we didn't even see a Sweet Chin music. Well, I mean that's spoiling down the road, but it was like one finisher and they're done.
You didn't get to see a super kick. You're not seeing a move that should end the match being used just to kick out, and then supposedly it's supposed to mean something later. You know,
Shawn didn't hit it on Austin at all.
So Austin, he didn't.
No.
But what I'm saying is, we're on the Triple H fan. But what we're seeing is, you kind of rush in here. Let's wheel it back here. Let me chain you back up and bring you over here. Stop trying to break this chain. Come back. So Triple H hitting that pedigree, and that pedigree meaning something. 1, 2, 3 wins the contest, and Owen Hart goes out. And I think I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not. Wasn't this Owen Hart's last WrestleMania? Is this his last WrestleMania? Or is there one more?
I believe it has to be his last WrestleMania.
I think it is, right? Yeah. Which kind of, it sucks. As I was watching, I kind of started thinking about that. And I'm like, ugh. But I love Jerry King's commentary when it comes to the Hearts.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. To me, like, Jerry King Lawler is fun. Love him, because growing up with him or whatever. But, like, there's times where I'd be like, okay, I'm enough of that. Enough of listening. Just to stop for a minute. But when it comes to his commentary with the Hearts, and he's like, you think Stu and Ellen are watching? I hope they are. I hate the Hart family, and he goes, I'm glad Brett's gone. He's like, damn. Yep. This is great. Anyway, a match coming up ended up being one of the more entertaining matches on the card.
Mm-hmm.
But surprisingly so, but I was like, I'm looking for, because all I remember of Sable, who I'm talking about red hot in the WWF. And I'm not talking physical, because she was hot and, all this whatever, beautiful woman, whatever. I'm talking about red hot in regards of crowd, pop, whatever. The crowd abso-freaking-lutely loved Sable. And they wrote really good. They did a great job selling that story where the husband's jealous and whatever. And, but I was like, I can't wait to see this. Like, because when you think of Sable, you don't think of her as a wrestler. And again, even Luna Vachon didn't think of her as a wrestler, but that's why I wanted to see this match. I wanted to see how she would do it, how she could do it. Anyway, love the story build up, I was very entertained, caught into the story. The artist formerly known as Goldust. I mean, Dustin Rhodes, man, you got to give him his flowers for everything he did for his, his character, for his survival in this business. He didn't, you think of guys like Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. They got the looks, they got this, Dustin didn't really have that. He was a decent wrestler, but he didn't have the look, he didn't have his dad's look. His dad had his own look, but so what did he do? What did he do to make a name for himself? What did he do to make it his own? He became Goldust. And I mean, my goodness, look at that. Now he's in another prominent WrestleMania matchup. So you have Mark Marrow, who's formerly known as Johnny B. Bad in the WCW, who was a high-flying, loved, how to say that, very personable. Oh, hey, getting the crowd fired up. And now you have a darker kind of version of it. He's Mark Marrow, 3-time Golden Globes winner, with his wife, Sable, taking on Luna Vachon and Goldust. And so I'm going to say, man, again, this was another match where there was little, like, I know Mark Marrow. I've watched Johnny B, and in WCW, and obviously Dustin Rhodes. So I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to them. But I want to see what Sable's able to do against Luna Vachon, who comes from the Vachon family, and all this whatnot, see what she does. And they did a great job with her. They protected her. I know the backstory. I did research that, where supposedly Luna Vachon was told, if you do not hurt her, don't lay a scratch, or you're going to lose your job. Don't know how much of that is true, but that was her story until her dying day. But supposedly there was a lot of heat between the two. Luna didn't really hate Sable for the fact that she was just like, you're on this card, you're doing this just because you're beautiful. This is why we signed you. This is why you're on the top of the card. It's not about wrestling. Well, that's where wrestling was going at that time. It's the times of the divas. Luna Vachon was a woman before her time. She could be now, and she'd be great. She'd be like Natty Neidhart. She would love wrestling now because the girls could wrestle. But I will say, for someone who's, can't wrestle or doesn't, I'll say Sable did a decent job in this match. I was entertained with her. And guess what? Luna, and for all those other wrestlers and people out there and fans, you want to know why someone like Sable was in that spot? Listen to the crowd. That crowd was red hot for Sable. I mean, they blew up. The freaking camera shook. And now that was shocking for me, because I never really comprehended the gravity of Sable and the hold she had on the WWE, WWF universe, whatever you want to call it. So that was really cool to see. And I'll tell you what, I came out impressed because Luna did her job. Goldust did his job. Mark Marrow did his job. They protected her. They made her look really good, really strong. And Marrow, people forget how good Mark Marrow is. Mark Marrow was a really good performer, a really good wrestler. I enjoy watching his stuff. So he was flamboyant in WCW. That's what I was trying to say. Like, he my brother said he reminds me of Little Richie. It's like, no, Mark Marrow's a bad dude. That dude could go, but in the ring he was really good. And I actually really enjoyed this match. This was one of those matches I was like, I want to finish this show. I was entertained by this, Josh.
Yeah, it was you're right. Sable was at the point of the match, the point of the card. So you went through Triple H and Owen, you went through the light heavyweight match, you went through the tag battle royal. This match is where the fans kind of woke up. Massive pops every time Sable got in the ring, did what she had to do. It didn't look perfect, but it got done, right? I will be honest. I was hyper focused on Dustin. He was out of shape. He was the biggest he's ever been. At this time of his life, he was hooked on the killers. This is all public knowledge. Like, he's said this stuff. He was all on the pills already. He was an alcoholic problem, a lot of stuff going on. And I'm like, let me watch Dustin. And man, if you guys were just paying attention to Sable, then you guys missed out, because I was paying attention to Dustin. Dude couldn't get out of the ring. Dude couldn't roll out of the ring. Dude, every time he made a tag, he just laid there on the ropes like he was exhausted. I don't think that he was out of it or on anything, because I did do some digging. But a lot of fans, like, I'm not the only one saying this. If you go back and look at that match, he was just completely out of it. Not saying Jeff Hardy out of it, TNA, just out of shape. Couldn't do it. And I was feeling bad. Like, Sable's moment was here. Goldust, I'm like, God, he's at the lowest of the low. Even though he's in a marquee matchup, he just didn't look like the Goldust I knew, which was sad. But other than that, you're right. I thought this. I'm like, oh, is this the? Guys, you got to remember, I watched this, not this, but I was in middle school when this happened, and I didn't know who Sable was until the handprints. And I'm like, oh, is this the handprint moment? Nope. I guess that's next paper. I guess that's another pay-per-view. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where she?
Yeah, I know the moment. Yeah.
That's the only thing I know of Sable. I promise you. I don't know anything else about Sable. I didn't even know she ever wrestled. This is my first time ever.
No, my thing, I know her again. For me, I knew of Sable, right? Everybody, if wrestling fans, if you're, especially in that era, teenage boys and whatever, we all knew of Sable, but I did not really pay attention to Sable. Like, I'll be honest, Fernando says it. Kimberly Diamond Dallas
Paige.
Page's wife, Miss Elizabeth, right? You know, Sunny for sure. But like those were, to me, like I was like, those girls.
Yeah.
Say, you know, eventually Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, you know, whatever. And then, you know, but Sable, all I knew was of that. So get to see her in a ring.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying she was great. I'm not saying, like, I know Maria says don't make sure she was terrible in the ring. I'm not saying she was great. Oh, she was terrible for, don't make excuse, Sable was terrible for wrestling. No, you know what? When you can draw, however you can draw, when McMahon sees, and this is, I think this is what got McMahon to go, okay, stories, sex appeal, this. That's what took WWF over the top. And then eventually he did not know how to readjust as time went on. He always kind of fell back into this because everything here screams like what we hate today is what we're loving about this show. That's the fact. And Sable wasn't terrible for wrestling. She pushed us into the Attitude Era. She was great for that era. And right there it tells you she deserves to be in that light, whether Shawn or Maria don't think so, or if Shawn didn't think so and all this whatnot. Guess what? If it was just Luna for Shawn versus a rando, the crowd ain't blowing up for that. They're not buying tickets to do that. Sable's on the card. I guarantee you people bought tickets to see Sable because I heard that crowd. I heard the crowd as soon as she got into that ring. The first time she laid her hands on Luna for Shawn, listen to that crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, she was almost as hot as Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Ooh.
She was on fire.
I don't know, brother.
She was on fire. If you listen to that crowd, the war, she was on fire. And shout out to Luna for Shawn for making her look that good in the ring, because she wasn't good in the ring, but she made her look good. And that was her job that night, was to make Sable look good in the ring. And she did. And it was decent enough. It was a decent match. It was fun. Going on. No, you can't deny that Sable. I don't know if Sable ever dated Steve Austin. I don't think so. She was married to Mark Merrow for a while. I think 10 years they were married. But Sable absolutely was one of the main attractions to the WWF during this era. She was. Now we go to, it's no longer Rocky Maivia. It's The Rock with the Nation of Domination taking on Ken Shamrock for the WWF Championship. This was a shorter match than I thought. But I like that fact because, again, he's dangerous. You know, they really did a great job selling him as a guy that you have to see. I'm not reading the comment.
It's okay. Don't read it. Don't read them. Don't read them. I mean, she pretty much said what I've been thinking. Like, come on.
All right. Let me see.
Like, Stone Cold was on a different level. You got to go look at the pops. You got to go back. You got to review the pops, Bobby.
No. Stop it for a second. You
got to review.
You see, no. You know, Jacqueline should have been the face of the women's division. Yeah, but she wasn't. Again, being a wrestler was not going to sell it back then. Think of the era. She, you know, Luna Vachon, who comes from a wrestling family, should be the face of the wrestling division. Jacqueline should have been the. Look at the era. Sable was the face. That's it. China should have been the face of the wrestling division for women. She's in shape. She's gorgeous. She's whatever. But she's not Sable. This was the sex appeal time frame.
Yeah.
And yes, the man in WWF, especially right after this, but especially this, was Stone Cold Steve Austin. The woman was Sable. The fans bought tickets to see him. Not drinking. I don't drink. I don't have a card to play in this game. But my bias, I don't have a bias here. Maria sounds like she has a bias. I don't. I go with what I see. And I'm telling you right now, when I heard that crowd, it was as loud as Steve Austin at the end of the night. So yes, she was as over as Stone Cold for that night. Because I don't have a bias. I go with what I see. I'm watching as I go. I'm not going, oh, I remember that 30 years ago or 40 years ago. And if I remember correctly, no, I just saw the match. And I'm going with what I've seen. And I saw somebody who was just as hot as the main event.
Well, I saw someone who was way hotter than Sable in this next match. So if Sable's on the level of Austin, then we got to talk about Ken Shamrock, because I've never seen Ken
Shamrock was over. He was over.
Never seen him so over. Never seen him so over. Never been so invested.
That's a
in
missed
Ken
opportunity. That's a
so
missed
too.
opportunity. That's what I thought about that match. Huge missed opportunity. What they could have done with that guy.
I hated this match.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I hated this match for many reasons. Ken Shamrock, loose cannon, heel, babyface, not really sure. Rock for sure, heel. People hate Rock still. He's with the nation.
So good at it. So good.
So good at it. But let me set this up, because this, I thought, was Austin Brett 2. As in, oh, this is how they're turning Rock babyface. This is how they're going to do it. So they did it. I mean, we could talk about the match, but let's talk about the finish. So they did it. Shamrock gets him in the ankle lock. Rock is bleeding from the mouth, from the nose. He's bleeding. He gives up, right? He's not letting go. So Rock is screaming. And then Ross is screaming, let go of him, blah, blah. He's a loose cannon. Fans are starting to get behind Rocky. Then the nation comes out, right? Then everyone comes out. Shamrock beats everybody. People are like, well, what's going on with Shamrock? Gets it back on Rock. Then we get what I thought the moment was going to, like the true babyface moment of Rock. Then we get Farouk coming out. Sorry. Farouk coming out, not helping Rock. Right there, walking away. Right there, that's it. Rock's babyface. That's it. That's all we needed to do. He gets on the stretcher, yada, yada, yada. Shamrock, whatever, goes back and beat. All of a sudden, people are rooting for Shamrock to beat up The Rock. But they were just kind of sympathizing for The Rock. And then with that move of Shamrock coming back to beat the crap out of The Rock, ruined the entire moment to me. I'm thinking, this is going to be awesome. Rock is turning babyface. We're going to see him against Farouk. This is The Rock where we're going to see go to like where I want him to see, where I liked him to go. I love babyface Rock. I like babyface Rock better than heel Rock. But we didn't go that way, Bobby. It was kind of like a turn. 3 turns in one match, I felt like. What did you think?
So I don't like first off, this match, Maria's right, it's a fun match. I don't like it because of the finish. Not for that, what you said. They show the video, the pre-video package where The Rock, basically, I guess, is trying to take the Nation of Domination and, chair shots Farouk and then leaves. And, you say it's like, oh, it was a mistake. But you can see The Rock's face. He kind of goes,
Mm-hmm.
So I always saw him as a heel. I didn't see any kind of face change or anything like that. To me, they had an entertaining match. The Rock is so good, making people look so good. He makes it look very easy in the ring. And again, the pops, Ken Shamrock being over, they made him look dangerous. And let me tell you something, for a guy who was a Ultimate Fighting champion and did that for real, he did a great job other than busting the shit out of The Rock's mouth. He did a great job not really hurting him. The elbows, like, they barely touch. And then the spot where he's tossing Mark Henry, he's tossing Godfather, not really Godfather at that point. He's tossing D'Lo. I mean, he looks strong. And then he defeats The Rock. He wins the IC, right? The Rock taps out to the ankle lock. Oh my God. There you go. Mm-hmm. Like, the real moment here. This is what it is. I mean, this is a real cool moment. The crowd is crazy. But again, we've been selling how this guy's a lunatic. He's knocking on sanity's door. And let me tell you, man, when he is still not letting go, and then then you got the agents coming out and they're running out and they're trying to go, and they zoom in on Ken Shamrock's face, and his one eye's lower than the other. And I mean, he did a phenomenal job selling that story. And they did a phenomenal. Now the agents were terrible actors. There was one guy who was, and then he gets caught. He goes, wait, and like, come on, dude, you don't know what's about to happen to you. So I hated that. That killed it. Like, at least Pat Patterson was in there, so he knew how to be and how to react. But whoever those other guys were, they were freaking horrible. But now the match is over. Rock is getting stretchered out. Shamrock, he's like, like a monster. He goes chasing down. No, he's still in the ring.
Yeah.
And then somehow, some way, because he never let go of the lock,
Yeah.
the referee reverses the decision.
Stupid.
That's why I hate this match.
Mhm.
The match is over.
Yep.
Whatever happens after the match, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Suspend him. Strip him of the title the next night. You don't go, the referee has now reversed the decision. You can't reverse the decision, you prick. The match is over.
Yep.
There's no more thing. There's nothing in wrestling, nothing in life where, they reverse the decision. They can review it. They could strip you tomorrow. You're the champion. But because the referee, and he's all the way up the ramp, like they should have did a storyline where the referee was paid off by the Nation of Domination or something. Because by the time they go reverse the decision, The Rock is, and even the agents are kind of like, "What are you doing?" They're going, "Whoa, what? No, what are you doing?" And Shamrock runs up the ramp. You see The Rock's already with the belt going, and he gets thrown over. He gets body slammed on the stage. Rock is funny, man. I love The Rock's expressions and everything.
Yeah.
He should have gone after the referee. I would have loved that shot. The referee standing there going like this. I would have loved if Shamrock looked at him like, and chased him down. And then, of course, but they sold the story that was, that he's uncontrollable. He's his own worst enemy. But I'm sorry, that was a bad to what was a fun match, a decent, a good call to wrap it, to end it. You killed the finish. You killed the finish by reversing the decision. That is the stupidest. I don't know what is up with Vince McMahon through all these WrestleManias with these DQs. No, like every fucking WrestleMania, there's something like this. Stupid.
Yeah, I agree. But hey, the next match was just as dumb to me. Listen, I know that I just said this was one of my favorite WrestleManias, and trust me, it is. Because of the last two matches were awesome. This is where trash matches begin. If you want to blame AEW and stuff now with what they do, we can start here with dumpster matches, with matches ending backstage, not in the ring, in front of the fans that paid money to see this. Instead, they get to watch it on a television show. Listen, 1998, they had the box TVs up there. They're not 2026 now where we have this full screen. I remember going to games back in the day. If you're too young, you wouldn't understand this, but going to football games and hockey games and not being able to even see the big screen because of how little it was back then and how high I was sitting up at the old Buccaneer Stadium. But the point is this, Bobby, having a finish at the very end of the backstage segment with Cactus Jack and Terry Funk versus the New Age Outlaws. It's kind of silly to me, Bobby. These were four great entertainers, four great wrestlers. Love all four of them. Whether it be on the mic with Road Dogg Jesse James, Billy Gunn's a freak athlete, always has been, always will be. And then you have two hardcore legends, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie, or Terry Funk.
Legends.
I just wish I wanted something more. I wish this wasn't a dumpster match.
It was a gimmick. It was a gimmick match.
I know. I understand, though. I understand.
Yeah, I agree with you, though. I mean, when you got someone like, first, again, and you're right, hardcore legends, right? But to me, they're legends. And Terry Funk is more than Chainsaw Charlie to me. I mean, this is Terry Funk from the NWA. I mean, I love watching Terry Funk and Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. And so you have two, first of all, champion, obviously not back then for Cactus Jack at that time, but two guys who were great. And then, like you said, two young guys who were on the ups. And Billy Gunn, he was being pushed before that as a singles guy. They wanted him to be one of the next big things, and it just didn't work. But I mean, what he can do, and these four could put up a freaking match. Like, this was a standard tag match. This would have been better than what it was. But I understood the assignment. It's a gimmick match. And I'll tell you what, for it to be a gimmick match, it was very entertaining. Again, this this WrestleMania was fun. I think you said it, and you and I were talking a little before the show, and it was fun. That's why this is what I call this. And this match was fun. And it looks like it's over, and all of a sudden Cactus Jack fights out. And he got the both of the mandible claw, and
Yep.
it's just the little some of the shit that's like that's so stupid. And I was like, but it's fun, dude. And then for them to win was cool. And Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie winning the tag match, and it did its job. It was fun.
The best spot was the ladder spot where they set the ladder up. People were popping for that ladder spot, where I believe I forgot it was Road Dogg and Mankind. They went from the top of the ladder inside the ring into the dumpster. It was set up outside the ring. What a wicked spot! If you miss that by an inch, your head's hitting the edge of the metal dumpster. You know what I'm talking about? You remember the spot?
Yeah.
What a wicked spot for the time of 1998. Yeah. But you had the Cactus Jack jumping from the apron of the ring with a weapon, like an elbow drop, like he always does with chairs. Like you had your signature spots. I just think the finish was flat, Bobby. Of like him in the back of the arena, and then Terry Funk's just like, "Yeah, we won the match, brother. I did it. I put him in the." That's what he said. I did it. I put him in the dumpster. And Mankind or Cactus Jack's like, "We won." Oh, it's like, all right. I would have loved to see it. I would love to see like a 1, 2, 3 or something. To me, that's all. If you have these freaking legends, but in the time you had to do this to counter produce WCW, like you had to do these things, be innovative, do something new.
Well, I'm sure again, people who did not watch WrestleMania 14, I'm sure when they went to school the next day or went to work, they told them, "Hey, you missed out. Go buy the replay. Yeah. Go buy the replay. You need to watch this." It's
crazy.
And this is one of those matches that people are like, they did a dumpster match.
Yeah,
bro. They did the New Age Outlaws lost. What? Yeah, man. Oh God, buy the replay. Now we get one of the matches, one of the most famous matches, maybe the greatest story Vince McMahon ever told, was the Undertaker and Kane. Let me tell you, the prior story, the story told before the match, the replay was great. It was perfectly done. Paul Bearer is so damn good, and us getting to watch every WrestleMania and get to see like the start of the Undertaker from his worst opponents. Then he got better with Diesel. You say, oh, he can actually work with a big man. Sid, okay. And then Glenn Jacobs, Kane. Yes. Who, my God, dude, talk about aura. Undertaker had aura, but Kane, he comes out like, how could a guy with a mask that covers head, the top to the bottom, top of the head to the chin, no mouth, you can't see his face. You could see so much. He could tell his whole story with his eyes. One eye's discolored, it's white, the other one's regular, and it's just the way, like when the Undertaker's coming out and the colors, and you're watching Kane in the ring, and you're like, that's one scary ass individual. Like that, the stories they told, like the story they told before the match, like for the video package, and then the story they told as they walked to the ring. Like I'm like, that right there. And Kane, everybody gives Undertaker credit for being able to have that character and to make something of that character and to have it for so long, and to be, same goes for Glenn Jacobs, for Kane, because a lot of people could try that, it won't work, but he sold that shit. He did a great job, and like I was so excited to watch it. And again, Kane, one of Undertaker's better opponents. I mean, he worked well, and he's basically mimicking the Undertaker. And and people go, oh, it wasn't really Glenn Jacobs under the mask. They always wonder, was it really? Listen to the grunts. That's Glenn Jacobs. That's Kane. That's Authority Kane. The same. It's, you can hear his grunts. So I'll tell you.
How do you know this? What does Randy Orton sound like?
No, you could know Glenn Jacobs, the same grunts he makes in the ring. You listen to his matches, you could hear that.
I mean, I think it's Glenn Jacobs. I'm just saying, like,
no, I know, but that's what I'm saying. It sounded. Marion doesn't make grunts, but Kane does. Glenn Jacobs does. But go back and listen to Glenn Jacobs, probably the last couple matches he ever did, and go back and listen to this Kane, and it's the same voice, the same guy. Even though I am Kane, it's the same Kane.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that Kane. The entrances were awesome. Undertaker had a special entrance with the torches, with his little druids. Kane's music, undefeated. It's so good. It's the best music in that era, and that to me the big blow up, him coming out. I always liked Kane more than Undertaker. I thought he was way cooler than the Undertaker.
Yeah.
I didn't care how slow this match was. This match was very slow because they're two big men.
Yep.
I didn't care. This match was entertaining throughout because of the story. If you go into this match with no story, I think, what is this? Like some kind of monster facing the Undertaker? But we had a story. We had a reason why Undertaker wanted to wrestle him. We had a reason why Kane wanted to wrestle him. Paul Bearer was the man in the middle telling lies, or was he telling lies? No one really knows. But man, a babyface Taker against his brother when he didn't want to fight him. This is one of the greatest stories and one of the most important stories in WWE history. Undertaker and Kane are two of the most important wrestlers in this time and in the universe. That this was their first meeting in Kane's first major loss. It came to the Undertaker with Paul Bearer. I know that they have a long history, but man, this is the first WrestleMania match into Undertaker's history. I know he won the WWF title, but I think this is his most important match up to this point, by far.
Yeah. Absolutely. Again, the story that was told in the ring, he did an amazing job telling that story with his facial expressions. For a guy who was always told, "Hey, be stone face, you're the dead man. You don't make an expression. Nothing hurts you. Nothing bothers you. Here it's no, you're telling a story now. This was supposed to be someone who was dead. You burned down a house. That's the story. You killed his parents. He got burned. He's back. You thought he was dead. I'm not going to fight my brother. I'm not going to fight my blood. The shot, oh my God, they're together. Oh my God, no, they're not. It was a lie. The facial expressions, the story those two told in the ring, the story McMahon had put together with those two guys. Glenn Jacobs getting after being the dentist and the doctor, whatever, and having all those different jobs and never hitting the nail. He was fake Diesel, having all those things and it never hit. And now getting this role here, a role of a lifetime, and hitting that shit out of the park. Like I saw Maria's comment about the double turn, Brett and Austin is the greatest story ever told. No, that didn't last decades. This match led a story that went decades, that people gave a shit about, that they could always go back to. This started it. Like Kane could have been a one-off. Kane when he went to go put him up and it looked like he was going to tomb someone, it looked like he almost dropped him and he had to lay him in the corner and kind of saved it. I don't know if you remember that spot.
Mm-hmm.
That could have gone horribly from there, where it's like, hey, the match is this is an F fest. Okay, Kane was here. Taker beats his brother, kills him off. He goes off in the sunset and Taker continues his story. No, they save the match. Kane has a phenomenal match with his brother. It does its job. You can't kill him. You can't beat him. Even when you beat him, he gets right back up and you're the one laying flat on your back. And then that match set up a decades-long story of the brothers of destruction, where you have the Inferno match that comes after this. And then you have them being together, destroying the WWF. And then, they're together and then they break up again. And of course we know WrestleMania 20 down the line. And, years and years of feuds and story. Like this is the story in WWF that was created, was the Undertaker and Kane. One of the best stories ever told by WWF, that people still cared and people thought these two were really brothers. What an awesome match. I'm with you. I always liked the Undertaker, but Kane was my favorite monster. Like it meant something when those lights went out and then you heard the boom, the pyro, it was on. Like he had that Brock Lesnar aura. When you heard his music come on, it was over. You're done. You're dead, bro. You're dead. Except what's about to happen. I hope you wrote your will.
Yep. I love Kane. Kane's the best. And One last thing on this match is the kickouts. When he gave him the tombstone, Kane kicked out twice, and then on the third one, he kicked out at 3.0001, brother.
Yes.
Do you think that was? Do you think he meant to kick out after the first one? You know what I mean? Like, fuck, I do it again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think it was supposed to, the first one was supposed to be
that
1,
way.
2?
Yeah. If you notice, first off, both pile drivers by the Undertaker, tombstone pile driver, were not good. They did not look good. His hands were not great. I think the first one looked terrible. Like, I was like, oh shoot. Like, and then the second one was okay, not great. The third one was perfect. The third one, he had full grasp.
Yeah.
It was a clean tombstone. 1, 2, 3 kick out. You know, he kicked out. I think it was all purpose. I think, it's like, hey, you didn't kill him. You just got enough time to escape him. Yeah, the false finishes. And again, people are like, how did he do that? You can't kill that. That's the right way to do it. You're trying to build a monster. I think at that point in time, they realized, Vince McMahon probably watching this probably realized going like, holy crap, I got 2 of them. I got 2 of these beasts. Like, this is like, we had Undertaker. That's our monster. He's a roaming around here in the shadows. No, you got 2 monsters. And guess what? They're brothers in this story. And that's like, damn, Yep,
it's good.
I can't say enough about the characters. I can't say enough about the story and this match. Great match, great story, great characters. And I can't wait to watch next WrestleMania and the next WrestleMania, kind of see how those characters evolve. But now we get to the main event of the evening. You get your video package, DX. This is what would be, what people didn't know. Shawn knew. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Triple H knew. And this would be Shawn Michaels' last match up until he returns years later in SummerSlam, after 6 years or something. He didn't know he could wrestle. He hurt his back really bad, injured. I think it was the Royal Rumble. He took a fall on the casket having a match with the Undertaker that effed his back up. So he's going into this WrestleMania, and it's not he's not good space in his head and all that. But he's injured, and this is going to be, he thinks he's done. This is his last match, and you can kind of read it on his face. I mean, if Shawn is very good telling a story with his face, but you can see it on his face that, this is kind of an emotional moment. What's happening here?
Yep.
He cuts in, he says it before again. He, says, Earl, this one's for you. My good luck charm's not here. First one without him. Triple H and him go out. DX music hits. I love the cuts.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about DX. That's just a really cool, gets you hyped up. I was thinking about that, like, damn, man,
Yep.
I said, that's really cool. Yeah. So they come out, and Mike Tyson was before them. Tyson was real. I love the pre video package when they had Austin lined up locked up with the ropes, and they're kissing his head, and he's like, you see, he kind of wants to laugh. He's like,
yeah.
But they're doing this. But anyway, then you talk about Aura. You talk about Over. Talk about Aura Over, and we were just saying, what's the difference between WrestleMania 1 through 9? You look at those WrestleManias, then you get to 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yep.
Where it was kind of like, there's something missing with these WrestleManias. There's something missing. And you brought up a couple episodes back, it's like, you hate to say it, especially you being not a Hogan guy, but it's like, they're missing the Hulk Hogan. Well, the thing is, they're missing the franchise guy. Hogan was that guy 1 through 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, they tried to do that with Bret Hart. They couldn't do it. They wanted Luger. It didn't work. They realized, they was like, we don't have it. Then guess what? Lightning struck. Lightning struck twice. And you could see when Austin comes out of the locker room before his music, and he comes out, and you hear the crowd going crazy. The crowd slowly starts to build up that war, and and you see them going nuts, and you're like, okay. And you see it. You're like, this dude is $1 million. This is $1 million walking through. And all of a sudden, as soon as he goes he's right before he gets into a gorilla, he's going like this. And all of a sudden, you got, and the crowd goes nuts.
Nuts.
And that's right. That's like, there it is. That's what you're missing. That's what you've been missing. And now, guess what? You've gotten it back. And I'll let you go about the match, man. What were your thoughts on this match? Obviously, Shawn is hurt. I thought it was a decent match.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot better, but I enjoyed it. It went for 20 minutes. One thing I always say, I will say this, I always love the ending. I always love that sequence where, you know, he goes for the sweet chin music. He goes under it, goes for try to go stunner, turns him around, goes for sheet, runs him into the ropes, goes for a sheet, cuts him, turns him around, stunner, 1, 2, 3, ball game. That's one of my most memorable finishes in wrestling was this year. I just wish Shawn was at his best because I would have loved to see them at their going to, and then maybe even if he could have stayed healthy past this, what that story could have been with these two on the mic in the ring would have been stunningly perfect. No pun intended. But floor is to you, sir.
Maria kind of already spoiled it down below. Yeah. She's like, fun fact, Taker babysat HBK, making sure he did business the right way.
Yes. Because
so
he was in a bad headspace.
So you know, I'm sure the business made it like, okay, what I'm about to say is going to sound off maybe kind of rude, but maybe kind of realistic. If Shawn never went away, would we have gotten the rise of Austin? Or would Shawn have used his politics to not let Austin get as white hot as he got? Because he had Hunter, he had DX, he had Vince in his back pocket. My back pocket wasn't paying him, but hell, he was probably in Vince's front pocket, I mean, come on, brother. It was always about Shawn. So if Shawn didn't go away, would we have gotten the pushes that we got from these megastars? I don't know. But I'll say this about the match. Good match. Fine match. Look, Stone Cold's not going to put out 5-star matches. Stone Cold's going to go in there, whoop some ass, do some hardcore stuff that doesn't get disqualified, walk around the ring, do a couple things, 1, 2, 3. What I didn't understand, Bobby, and someone needs to explain this to me that watched this in this era, maybe Finn Sammy, maybe Maria, maybe you. Did Mike Tyson just out of nowhere say, you know what? I don't like this Shawn guy. I'm going to fast count 1, 2, 3, and then afterwards, I'm just going to celebrate with Stone Cold for no reason. What was that? Why did this happen? Was there any kind of workup to it? I'm sitting there going, is he going to get stunned? Stuns everybody. Austin stuns everybody. Where's the stunner? Where's the stunner? Where's the stunner? Nothing. What was that? Well, I don't know. Change of heart. Mike Tyson goes for the fair. He's a fair weather fan. Anyway, that's just cool. It was a cool moment regardless, but still want to know what happened there. But Bobby, was this Stone Cold's first ever World Heavyweight Championship? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was. Before the match, Jim Ross said, Shawn Michaels, the greatest WWF champion.
I heard all that.
What was that about, brother? Did they forget about Hogan?
What was you got I wondered what the hell that was all about. I'm glad you brought that up because I probably would have forgot, but thank you. I wondered the same thing. I mean, he says he's the greatest champion we've ever had. This is like, what are you smoking? What are you talking about? What's like, and then he goes Grand Slam. He's our first Grand Slam champion and all of this. And, it was odd. It was odd because Shawn hadn't done enough up to that point or been around enough up to that point to be called that. You said it there. You're like, forget about Hogan. What are we talking about? Now, of course, McMahon was petty as shit. Mm-hmm. McMahon was petty. He would feed in their ears. Hey, say it. Okay. Could that be the case? I mean, probably. Maybe.
Well, and to Brett. Think about it.
Well, maybe that was to Brett. Maybe it was more at Brett than anything else, and I'll tell you this though. Now you say, because you asked me earlier, if Shawn did not get hurt, would Austin have been Austin? I believe so, because Austin was that guy. He was so red hot. That's why DX got red hot. DX was, they were against the grain. They were, anti-establishment, suck it, this, that, whatever. the fans were drawn. Oh my God, I love this guy. And then you have the bald guy here with black trunks with St. Hugh and fingers this and everything. Yeah. But because I think in spite of the power that DX, i.e. Shawn Michaels, had over McMahon, I think Austin was so over with the fans, it was hard to ignore. You know what I mean? Because he could talk, he could walk, he could work, he had the look. He had a different look than everybody else. He didn't need all the fancy colors and the dance moves. He was an everyman, Yeah. And so, great question, because I think there's a legit, but here's the thing. Because Shawn did kind of do that in a way. He did it with Brett, but Brett wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin. Luger wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hogan wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, but Hogan at Michaels, Hogan had that hold on McMahon that Michaels had at that point. Yeah. But you can't ignore what the fans are saying. The fans love DX, but they wanted Steve Austin. And then the money was saying Steve Austin. So my thing is, the what if for me was, I would have loved to see this story, how it would have played out had Shawn Michaels been healthy, because the war of wars, the war of words, and the stories these two could have told, and everything else, maybe the trilogy we could have had, I think it would have affected The Rock more than it would affect Steve Austin.
It's true. So
that's the what if. That's the what if.
Yeah, we're about to go into the trilogy of Rock and Austin coming up, because I think next WrestleMania 15 is
the
where
first one.
We get Rock. Then in 17 and the 19, because I know it's every other year. They wrestle. So.
But again, if that's who it would have affected. The Rock would never have been able to, because if Austin wins, more than likely the next WrestleMania, more than likely would have been Shawn Austin again, because Shawn is just Shawn Michaels. He's the best in-ring performer. He has the mic skills. It's easy. Go. Let's go again, because there's nobody on this card that I could say, if Shawn Michaels is still around, there is not one person on this card that you could plug against Steve Austin.
Yeah, there is.
Who?
Taker.
Nah.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good. Like, I mean, they do it eventually, but what I'm saying is, like, that would have been
not
fine.
at WrestleMania. Not at WrestleMania.
That would have been fine. The two big, your two biggest stars at the time. At the time, if you look at the Attitude Era, the two biggest stars, you get Rock, Austin, but Taker's up there too. Even my wife knows Undertaker.
Everybody knows the Undertaker, but the Undertaker. I mean, even next WrestleMania, he's not even in the main event. He's not in the main event at the WrestleMania after that. He's always kind of sidestepping here and there. He was already at the last two main events,
because his character doesn't need a title. It never has.
But he was in the main event for the title, the WrestleMania before. I'm just saying, if the more than likely the main event for WrestleMania, looking at this card, looking at this roster, you're not putting Triple H, who's basically, he's the back guy to Shawn. The Rock probably would have fell behind if it's probably been Rock and Farouk, or Rock and Triple H for the IC title next WrestleMania. If Michaels wasn't there, you would have saw Michaels, Steve Austin too, because that's how big Austin is, and that's how big Shawn was, because Shawn could still go, but Shawn got hurt, so that changed the trajectory for The Rock and Triple H. Triple H the next night, leader of DX, and we know what goes on from there. The game. Then you got The Rock. The Rock is main eventing WrestleMania the year after with Austin. Triple H is main eventing WrestleMania the year after that at WrestleMania 2000, I believe. So that's what changed. That's what Shawn Michaels leaving changed everything for the WWF, for the better, right? I mean, because we got all these great characters. And again, Shawn Michaels comes 6 years later, I think, and then we never got to see Rock and Shawn. That would have been a great match if we ever would have got to see it, but we don't. But we get Triple H and Shawn Michaels years later, which ended up being a great story, So, I always love it, because I'm looking at Sergeant Slaughter and I'm like, he's in the commissioner role, but I was like, what if Hogan never or Macho never left? Obviously, that would kill the WCW dream, but what if Hogan would have stayed with the WWF, but it took a step back? and maybe he probably would have been a commissioner role or Savage, and he stepped in that role. And then of course, they have to get in the ring a couple times, and that would have been. But it all happens for a reason. But this WrestleMania, fun. Yes, Big Show I think is coming. Big Show will be at the next one, I believe. But anyway,
Dang.
WrestleMania 14 is a wrap. Again, a lot of fun. I enjoyed this from the start to the finish. I can't wait to see where WrestleMania 15 goes. I know the main event because, like you said, the first of the trilogy, but I want to see everything else. I want to see who's against who, where people come and go. Like, this is what I love when I go, oh, I know who that guy is. I know what he turns into. But I don't care about that right now. What I care about every time I do these shows, what I look forward to most. That's why when I was like, I couldn't wait when I finished the show, and I was like, I want to hear from Josh. And Josh was like, I was sleeping, bro. Like, oh. But I want to know, Josh, WrestleMania 14. We've seen 14 of these, guy. I can't believe we're getting through it, brother.
14 of them.
Where does it rank in the top 14 WrestleManias for you?
I'm going to be biased, man. This is my era. This is when I started liking wrestling. I said it like on the late night show, your favorite kind of music is the music you listen to when you reach a certain milestone of your life. And same thing with wrestling. So this is going to be up there. But again, this wasn't my era though. I was still watching World War III and Kevin Nash and whatever was going on in the WCW at that time. So this one to me is still going to be as high because I know everybody on the card, and it's going to be at number 3. I still have 8 and 5 above. But I have WrestleMania 14 as my third favorite WrestleMania of all time because of the nostalgia, the importance of these matches. We just talked about Shawn leaving his last WrestleMania until he finds Jesus and comes back. Yeah. And think about this. You didn't even mention this. Think about the better Shawn Michaels we got from the time away. When he came back, yes. we may have never seen Shawn and Jericho, Shawn and Taker, Shawn and Flair. All these matches that because he got to rest for 6 years and get better and get healthy and become a better person per himself. He said that. But the thing is he did.
It's true. It worked it went, you think of the what if, but honestly, if you think about it, would you rather be anywhere else? Because if he was around, what would have that changed? And what would we not have gotten if he had not taken that hiatus to get better? What's crazy is the what if is when he left, he thought, and there was talk about him going to the WCW. Whew. And Vince McMahon, and I think Triple H, but Vince McMahon was like, and him and Triple H had a falling out after this, and that's when they didn't talk for a while. But Vince McMahon, I think, paid him or begged him not to go to the WCW because he, even though he was hurt, he was like, get better, whatever. And of course, he fell hard into the drugs and everything else. But there was talk about him going to the WCW. I mean, that is a major what if he had gone with Bret Hart there, Hogan, Nash Hall, and Shawn Michaels together in the WCW.
Don't think it'd be good. We get Vince Russo running back to
That's what I was saying. Vince Russo,
we would have got to run it back.
100%. Hey, that's a what if episode. If there ever what happens if Shawn Michaels had gone to the WCW? I mean, think about that. The Wolf Pack, that would have been legitimate shit. But for another day. But I love that point, Josh. You bring up a great point right there to end it with. What if Shawn had stayed? Think about what we would have missed on, because he did need that time away, and it was great for him. He had a little falling down. With his kid, he always tells a story how he was on the couch, knocked out. His kid was on top of him, and his wife, who was a Nitro girl, by the way, told him you were passed out, and that's when he said, "I got to get out of this. I have to fix myself." And then, of course, like you say, he found God, and think about the Shawn we got back. It wasn't the Shawn of old, but. And I don't disagree, Maria, with that. You got to go with what history says. And WCW didn't do good with Bret Hart, but with how close Eric was with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, and with HBK, I think they would have figured that out. But again, that's a debate for another day. But again, I'm glad that we got HBK back in the way we did, and that story told at SummerSlam. but this WrestleMania changed the trajectory of the Monday Night Wars, or the war within itself, the war between WCW and WWF. This was the tide started turning. This is when WWF found their next big thing in Stone Cold Steve Austin. When Hogan left the door, when the first bald guy left the door, they had to wait some time to get that next bald guy to come in and take over. And did he? And my God, what a way to start. So WrestleMania 15, here we come. Josh, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm excited for WrestleMania 15, but we also have more things coming down the line. This is more of a off show topic to talk about, Bobby, but the TNA Dark Side of the Ring, we need to watch and cover that. If you're interested, let us know. We still want to do WrestleMania 15 and 16 and beyond, but we want to get these shows sprinkled in throughout the week. So you might see us on a random, I don't know, Tuesday night. You might see us on a random, I don't know, Friday night, talking Jeff Jarrett in TNA. I'm so excited for it.
I want to get to it. I see it there. I'm going to get to part 1, get part 2. So yes, we'll talk about it more off air, but those are coming. WrestleMania 15 is coming, and man, we got a lot in store here for FTSN, of course, but also the No Holds Barred Wrestling channel. We got college football is coming back soon. We got baseball with On Deck. We got wrestling, of course, with Real Talk Wrestling and No Holds Barred Wrestling podcast, Nitro Rewind, Dynamite, and we got it all. The rundown, we got it all here on FTSN and the No Holds Barred Wrestling channel. So do me a favor, if you are new to the channel, FTSN and No Holds Barred Wrestling, make sure you subscribe for awesome, great wrestling content, FTSN sports content. I'm Bobby Melendez. That's Josh Kimmel. Happy birthday, Harrison. That's my baby brother. It's his birthday today. And Nick had his second match, by the way. Second match. The Rhinestone Jesse Garin up in AWF should be popping up on YouTube soon for Arizona Wrestling Federation. Once it does, I will share it. I have some pictures of it, so I forgot to send that to Josh. But anyway, until then, guys, we appreciate you. Like and subscribe. Hit that elbow drop. Boom. And we'll see you next time.